Very welcome to everybody. We're still getting some people logged in, but this is just a very impromptu Saturday morning webinar. I don't do Saturday morning webinars ever. In fact, I don't even get within like 10 feet of my computer, Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday. But I decided I would do it today. Part of it is because, as you guys know, some of you in here are part of, you're members of my premium trade group, and some of you are not. You're just visitors, and all are welcome. We're happy to have you guys here today. But yesterday, so I always do webinars on Mondays and Fridays for my premium trade group, and yesterday I had to cancel it about literally 30 seconds before we were scheduled to start. Everybody was logged in. I was sitting here. I was prepared. It was go time, and I get a call that we have some family in town, and one of the family members that was with some children got pretty ill and had to make a hospital run last minute. She's okay now, but I had to run and jump in the car and go pick up the kids and make sure everybody was okay. So, which everybody is okay. Everything turned out fine, but I had to cancel our webinar right on the spot. I just hate doing that. It was kind of crazy, but that's why I thought, let's have a webinar today. And I kind of wanted to put the focus on the webinar of, this is why I wanted to invite everybody, right? Is because I want to talk about just some of my favorite trades, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I just want to hear what people are looking at, excited to trade, and what you're doing. I host webinars, multiple times a week. We do live sessions, lots of trade updates, videos, charts, all that kind of stuff in the trade group. Every week I'm producing all this content, all this information, all this material. And I kind of want to hear from you guys today. So I want to talk about a couple of my favorite trades and a couple of things that I see happening, but I also want to hear what you guys are up to. I want to hear what everybody is excited to trade, and I want to hear your thoughts and your questions about some of your favorite currency pairs, and heck, bring up stocks, bring up cryptocurrencies. All is welcome here. So I'd love to hear from everybody. Okay, so do we feel like we're decently good on the audio department? Is that safe to say? Everyone's good audio? Everyone's good there. Hopefully everybody's good there. You may hear bouts of silence from me, and part of it will be because I want to give you guys a chance to comment and answer. And the other part is because I have the worst freaking allergies this morning, and I got to keep sneezing or something. Whenever it gets really warm in California, I seem to get these crazy allergies. And yesterday it was almost 90 degrees by the beach. I don't think it got that hot all summer long. Since we do have a couple, we do have quite a few visitors this morning. Everybody just tell us where you're from real quick. You can just put your country or your state. You don't have to put your address in, but where do we have everybody visiting us from? Like Yemi, for example. Where are you from? I'd be curious to know. Rick, I can't keep up where you are. I know you're somewhere in the United States of America, but anyway, where's everyone joining us from? London, all right. Yemi from London, nice to have you. Sharon, good to see you. Good grief, nice to see you, Sharon. Happy to have you with us. Phoenix, Arizona. So Sharon, my 90 degrees I was talking about yesterday was probably a nice cool day for you guys, right? So yes, all right. Good. Okay, Bill from Florida, and Rick, you're currently in South Carolina. All right, that's why I say I can't keep track, man. You're just all over the place. All right, excellent. Seattle, Washington, couple of Seattle Washingtonians. Good, guys. Good. Okay, so like I said, this is where I want to hear from you guys a little bit. Like I said, I do a lot of webinars, and no part of me has any kind of I'm here to talk and you're here to listen. I want to hear from you guys. Joseph, London in the house. All right, there we go. So tell me what you guys are loving, what you're doing. Again, just a little bit of an intro for myself. For those, those that are visiting or on for the first time. I'm calling this the webinar with friends because I don't really have any major agenda on this webinar other than just let's get together, let's chat about some of our favorite trades, and let's have a good time doing it. So welcome to the webinar with friends. It's very Mr. Rogers sounding, and I hope you guys will be my neighbor. So nice to have you all. Just a little reminder, here am I, Jared Johnson, Day Traders FX founder, and have had 15 years of pretty fantastic experiences trading, and I've loved a whole bunch of it, and a lot of years of running trade groups and doing all that kind of stuff. So happy to be with you guys. Welcome, welcome all. One thing I do want to talk about a bit, guys, is during this time, this was kind of part of the webinar, I want to talk about my favorite trades, and I want to talk about how October, November, and December are good times to trade. And we're cruising right on through October. I don't know how the year is going by so quickly, but it sure seems to be. But we're getting we're getting things starting to kind of really pick up some pace and some momentum. We've seen great volume the last month or so, which has been awesome. And now we're looking for those big trends and those big movements. So we're going to see how that all plays out. So that's what we're looking to do for the next couple of months here. So that's pretty exciting. Next thing, we want to dive into the charts and just kind of see what's happening. Just a reminder, anybody that is visiting us and not currently a member of the trade group, you can go to daytradersfx.com and you can get a 14-day free trial to our live trade group. We're on every day. Live webinars, like I said, Monday and Friday, and then every day I'm sending out updates and videos and charts and notes for short-term trades, long-term trades, medium-term trades, and just every other thing in the middle. So head over to daytradersfx.com and get a 14-day free trial and come see what we're up to. We'd love to have you. I'd love to get to know you a little bit further, and give us an opportunity to kind of see how things are going. Okay, let's dive into the charts. Sharon. Continuation on Aussie, Swiss, New Zealand, Swiss, North. That's a great way to start, Sharon. Let's have a little peek, because I definitely do have some thoughts on a lot of these guys here. Aussie, Swiss, and New Zealand, Swiss. So, hold on here. There we go. So, these are two good pairs to talk about. Now, one thing I want to discuss and remind everybody of is no matter how short-term or how long-term of a trader you are, your two best friends can be and should be the weekly chart and the hourly chart, right? So here I am on the hourly chart right here. Sharon saying, do we have some north side movement? So my hourly chart's going to be that execution chart, right? That's where I'm going to come over to the time of entry and say, okay, what kind of pattern do I have? What kind of near-term targets do I have to get the momentum going? If this is a long trade, or a long-term trade, if we want this thing to run for the next, 1 week, 3 weeks, 1 month, 6 months, whatever. We want to make sure that we have a few short-term things set up to kind of get that momentum going. Some of those short-term details would be, do we have a simple pattern, channel, breakout, right? That can kind of get that momentum going. How's the targets looking? Do we have some good targets to aim towards, to get this Aussie Swiss moving higher? And I might ask myself, as well, do we have, short-term and long-term trend? What is that? I'd probably also lastly look at bar counts. That 200 moving average, how's that thing lining up? What do we got going on there? So these are some things I'm going to look at on the hourly chart, patterns, channels. Do we have any kind of things that can really kind of get this going? But the next thing I want to look at, and I want to look at all that same stuff on the weekly chart as well. So if we think this thing is going to continue making a move higher, how do all of these details look as well? So we have definitely talked about the Aussie Swiss, the New Zealand Swiss, in some pretty good detail in the past. And this is kind of the area that we've been watching, right? So on the weekly charts, again, this time of year, I'm telling you, it is so crucial. October, November, December, and January. Actually, in memory, I've had more good Januaries than not. August or July, August, those are kind of tricky months, but we can usually, squeeze some bucks out of those or whatever. But January, I used to think January was just garbage. We just got done with all this holiday break stuff. And then we're not going to have any movement. And January is actually a pretty good time. So we can even extend this out, October, November, December, January. So we have kind of a nice 4-month chunk there. So yes, so we come over here to this weekly chart. We say, what is the big picture? What is really happening on this chart? Where do we have kind of the big time movement? And we could probably even go to. Let me get a little more data here. My charts. Brief. Is everyone just? Is that all we got? Is that as far back as we go? Is 2001? I guess that's it. Okay, so with this right here, then we're definitely at pretty historical lows. So Sharon, I'm so glad you brought this up because when we see any currency pairs that are at long-term highs or long-term lows, we want to get all over that. We want to get all over that, and so yeah. And we've definitely talked about this. We've talked about some of these targets, some of these kind of areas and channels that we're in, and this Aussie Swiss is a great one. This is a great one to look for some long-term pushes higher. On this note, there's a lot of interesting details to look at here. First off, the Australian dollar has been pretty beat up for a long time. You can see it definitely on this chart. You can see it on pretty much any other chart. And it's starting to seem like the Australian dollar might be ready to sneak up on us a little bit, start to turn around and start to head back in a direction towards some strength because it's been, in a pretty big downtrend for some time now. Yes, and that's a good point. Both good carry trades as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody that's not familiar with a carry trade, it's just simply we get paid some interest to stay in this trade. We can sit in here and while the trade plays out, we can make some bucks. So yes, these are kind of things that we want to keep an eye on. So I do very much like looking for the Aussie Swiss long, and the New Zealand Swiss, same thing. If we go over here to New Zealand Swiss, let's make some New Zealand Swiss as well. We've talked about this a lot. We've had some great trades on this one in the last little bit. New Zealand Swiss is kind of in a bit of an interesting area, right? So if we go to again our weekly chart, we can see that this is a pretty significant double bottom, right? This is held very well and has made a nice little run up for us. Hey, Warren from Alberta, Canada. Happy to have you with us. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. So nice little double bottom on this guy. This is definitely a great looking area. And again, do we have channel high, channel lows going on here? Yes, we sure the heck do. So we hit this bottom here around 63.30, and big resistance is all the way up at almost 7,300. So almost 1,000 pips worth of range here. But again, on these kinds of setups, we want to look at things like, what kind of targets do we have to shoot for? What kind of pivot points are we aiming for, and so on. And this has definitely got a couple of goodies up here, right? You can see, it's maybe or maybe not a weekly missed pivot. There's definitely a weekly missed pivot. We've got, a couple other dailies in there, I'm sure, that we can see a little bit better on the hourly chart. But definitely, so when you go from that weekly chart to that hourly chart, you see a little bit of a different picture, right? And so now the weekly chart, the longer term charts are telling us we're coming off those big lows. But as we come to these hourly charts here, we can see, we kind of have this, big old rising channel here that that's holding pretty well, right? And we have a couple of things like uh, missed daily pivot, weekly pivot, daily pivot, and these are pretty efficient pairs. So things I would be looking at on this New Zealand Swiss and probably on the Aussie Swiss as well. Let's get some dips and let's buy the heck out of those dips and trade them higher. So good, I like that. I like that. So very good stuff on Aussie Swiss and New Zealand Swiss. Um, those are some, big long-term pictures that we could definitely be doing some trading with and hopefully make some good, easy long-term profits on. So thank you. Thanks for bringing that up, Sharon. And anybody else, bring up any charts you guys want to talk about, any charts whatsoever. Let's bring them up. If I'm not familiar with it, we can just kind of go through the basic analysis that I, apply to every chart if I am familiar with it. As far as familiar meaning, I've been looking at setups fairly recently on it, which is pretty much most pairs. Then we can go into even further detail. Okay, so here is where we get a lot of trending, right? So we get, we have these two pairs that Sharon brought up, which are great. I'm also very interested in, generally speaking, for trend purposes, USD. End of year trend is very good there, and JPY end of year trend is very good there. Now, currently on the USD, we have all the things that I look at, right, on the dollar. On any chart, all the things that I look at tell me that, what's the best way to say this? Well, I'll say 7 out of 10 things are pointing to bearish movement, right? So we're kind of at maybe like a 70%, according to my indicators and my everything, that USD is going to start to get bearish. And we're a little bit mixed on the yen pairs as well. Yen pairs are kind of, I would say, according to everything that I look at, they're almost 50-50 on, on trend, on which way these guys are headed. So ultimately, I want to see the dollar start to, weaken and get some downward movement on dollar pairs. I want to see the yen. I'd like to see the yen really give us some decent strength. I think we could see that. It's currently kind of showing us some strength. We could see, a bit of a turn there as well. But the yen is a big trender. And the reason I try to jump on the yen now, trending is one thing and volatility is another thing. Now, yen pairs do have some volatility, meaning that they can kind of go wild, they can move a lot. But typically they just move for long periods of time in one direction. And so if you can get a grasp on yen direction, it is a very, very good thing. And so we want to put a lot of focus and a lot of energy into trying to find that yen direction, because if we can, we can make, we have lots of profits and lots of money to be made on those guys there. So that's why I want to definitely talk about some yen strength or yen weakness, but overall just yen trend. Because if we can get in on those, I hate to bring this up every time I talk about anything yen, but twice I've made 1,000 pips on a single trade on the pound yen. I've never come close to that on any other pair ever. I've made 500 and 600 pips on trades before, but 1,000 pips 2 different times on the pound yen. So we want to really get a grip on that. So dollar pairs and yen pairs are the consistent trenders. Now, dollar is a fairly steady trender, and it's not too crazy volatile. Yen, consistent trender, a lot more volatile. So there is some, there's some pretty good risk there. Now, that's not to say that I want to just be in wild pairs, because I really don't like wild pairs. Like the Euro CAD is a wild child. The pound CAD, the pound Aussie, some of these guys just go so crazy and the volatility is off the charts. Euro New Zealand, pound New Zealand. There's good money to be made on those, but the volatility is pretty intense and there's a lot of risk there. So that's why I've tried to kind of dial in this, where can we get some big trends that consistently trend year after year without putting ourselves into too much risk. Yes, there's a lot of movement in the pound New Zealand, euro New Zealand, but people just, it's a graveyard. People lose money on those, and it's just too difficult to trade those. These guys right here are definitely good, steady movers. Now, on that front, other good steady movers are, as Sharon mentioned, the Aussie Swiss and the New Zealand Swiss. The Aussie CAD and New Zealand CAD are awesome. Aussie New Zealand is great. Some of those really kind of low volatility movers are ones that we can get into without taking a lot of risk and really work through some nice positions. So that's where we want to kind of look at things and be watching for some movement. So speaking of all that, do we have dollar bearish movement? Well, we don't have it yet, but we're definitely kind of working our way into it. Here's the dollar index. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the dollar is ready to go down, or are we just looking at a bunch of further dollar strength? Is the dollar going to continue to just run towards strength? What are your guys' thoughts on the near-term direction of the United States currency? Anybody have any thoughts on that? What do you think? I'll give you guys a moment to find the chat box and type away. I'd definitely love to hear. And if you have any, reasons, right? Why do you think it's going to continue to go strong, or why do you think it's going to go weak? I'd love to hear it. What do you guys think about the USD? Are we without thought on the US dollar? Because, oh, there we go. Sharon, there you go. All right. And you keep the thoughts coming, guys. Thoughts and questions. Okay. I like that, Sharon. See, that's great. Looking for a reason, right? What do we have for this reason? Gaps. We have gaps. And that's huge, right? Gaps get filled, as do pivots get hit, right? And so we have gaps, we have pivots, we have all kinds of targets on the U.S. dollar that make me think it is go time. Let me do this really super quick here. I'm going to edit my pivots. Let's see here. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Okay, let's go weekly pivots. Let's go 100. Hold on here. Okay, so weekly pivots, daily pivots. Okay, we're already at 100 on that. Monthly pivots, what do we got here? 15 monthly pivots? What do we have? That's crazy. Okay, we'll go with 50. Okay, so I just want to make sure we have a really good look at where all these targets really are, right? What's going on there? Okay, and owner, who is owner with us today? I know sometimes when we just log right into Zoom, it doesn't give you a chance to put your name in, but just so I know who you are. But yes, that's a very good point. We do have more missed weekly, more missed pivots in general, down than up. So that's something that I'm looking for sure, right? So we do have a couple of missed pivots kind of randomly in some of these places, but on this big run down here, Ron, my friend, welcome. So happy to have you with us. Thanks for joining us, Ron. So as we look over here, we definitely don't have too much in the way of missed pivots. There's a few randoms in there from this big move down, right, where the dollar was, December 2016. We had a lot of dollar strength. It was up at 103, kind of its typical high point here. We're way up here, almost to 104. And this thing had a very steady, very efficient move down. Ran down, came up, ran down, came up. And just, kind of continued to do that over and over again. And it really took out all those levels and cleaned everything up. Well, on this move from these lows of 88.50 all the way up here to, just about 9,700, we have left so many darn pivots. We have missed pivots, market imbalances, missed pivots, market imbalances all over the place. They're just really all over the place. So that's something that's telling me we've got to get some correction down to probably and maybe at least the 9,000 level. The 90 level. we're all the way up here at 95, 50, 60, and I think we can get down here to 9100, 90, 90, 50, even just 90 on the dot. I think we've got that. I think we've got that. So big pivots, big missed targets, big areas that we can go for, and I think that's going to be, where some big opportunities going to come from. Let's see here, and we'll look at a bunch of dollar charts here. Roy, how you doing, Roy? Nice to see you, man. Let's see. Looks like it could go higher on the daily because it looks like it hit the C retracement. Is in the process of heading towards a D extension. That's a good point. That's a good point. 610, okay, depending on the retracement. Okay, all right, good, good. And Roy, that's a good point because what we're looking for, I've definitely kind of held on to this, let's get some dollar weakness, because all my typical indicators are kind of telling me that dollar weakness is coming, but it's been a big struggle for that. The dollar has kind of continued to make some pushes and try to head higher and so on. So it's a very good point to say, we've got to keep an eye on both directions, and that's what makes a market, right? Is that there's buyers and sellers, and so yeah, very, very good point. Very good point. So I do want to look at a couple of dollar charts to see if we can get, a little bit more confirmation. One thing that we can always do, guys, is we can always say, where is this dollar going, for example, right? And so if we do that, let me just give you a little something here. If we do that, if we say, where the heck is the dollar headed? What do we have going on here? Then something that we can do, it takes a little bit of work, but we can look at, number one, every dollar pair. Number two, determine direction. Number three, look for patterns, right? And pivots, and any and all of the above. So it's a little bit of an exercise. It takes a little bit of time and energy, but if you say, I really want to know which way the dollar's going, then go look at every dollar pair. Look at the euro dollar, the pound dollar, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar CAD, dollar yen, and see if you can see, are we at extreme highs and lows? What's the overall trend? What's the pattern? Do we have bar counts in there? Do we have a bunch of pivots in one direction or another? So it takes a little bit of time, but it really can give you a solid idea of where things might be headed. So let's take that exercise and look at a couple of things here. So here's our dollar index. We've got a bunch of missed pivots and market imbalances down here, which is why I think we're going to be ultimately starting to head lower. Now, we have a pretty nice little support level at 93.75, and it's kind of in this rising head and shoulders type channel. So I'm looking for it to kind of come off this level and make its way down, right? So we have targets, we have patterns, we have all kinds of things down there, and that's where I want to see it go. Now, we also have a bit of a head and shoulders pattern here, right? So we can see, we can definitely see this kind of movement. This is pretty long term right there, and that's where we have to leave the possibility, Roy, going along with what you're saying there. We have to leave the possibility of that could be, a big continuation on a big head and shoulders pattern, and I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that. I just want to, I want to see if we can get that continuation or that, a little bit of a bigger reversal down before kind of heading higher. But hey, we got a big possible head and shoulders pattern that could take this right back up to these highs. So we're ready for it. If it's going to happen, we'll be watching and ready and waiting. Let's go look at another very, correlated dollar pair here. We had a little bit of a discussion about this last week in the trade group, and we have these kinds of things, right? Where here's the euro dollar, and it's a very similar picture, right? We could say this is a very aggressive looking head and shoulders pattern for the long term, and it is, right? Big, and then it's just continuing on, and it could be ready to make that massive movement. And guess what? We're going to be ready for it if it does, because right now, there's definitely some bearish movement on the euro dollar, but we're looking to see, is this going to hang? Is this going to hold in here? What's going to happen? That's the big long-term picture. Now, euro dollar has a very similar situation, right? We have a whole bunch of daily pivots and weekly pivots and monthly pivots up here, and some market imbalances and some other important levels that we're kind of looking for. Is it going to make it up here? Is it going to make it into that, back into that area? So far, the euro dollar has failed pretty miserably at about 11800, right? And I'm looking for, can we get a move into 120, 120, 122 area. So we've got some nice little targets up here around 120, 180, 12200. So, that's what I'd be looking for. But we gotta clear 118 before we can get there. And one thing that I was looking at on the shorter term charts was kind of this right here. Yes, we have that big head and shoulders pattern that could play out, but we also have this that I'm curious about, right? So, do we have a head and shoulders pattern here? Is this thing ready to kind of trade off these lows? It looks like it might be. It looks like it might be. Um, the long-term head and shoulders patterns like this, which would ultimately tell us we're looking for this thing to head lower, are infamous for just dragging things out and really messing with traders, right? And so with all these high probability targets up here, I think we could get a push higher, match that left shoulder high. That puts us right into at least 120. Match that high, and then really see the big sell-off that we're looking for. I think dollar strength could absolutely continue on, but I want to see if we get this shorter-term play out right here, match some of that movement over there, and then really have that big sell-off we're looking for here. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on euro dollar. I want to see if we get this thing from where we currently are, 115-ish, up into 120, and then from there maybe have a big sell-off into 110 and beyond. Because we've got some pivots down here. We've got some pivots, some gaps, some levels, all kinds of things to look for. So, yes, we can see that. So, how are we going to trade this thing? What do you guys think? Where's the entry opportunity on all this? Because that could be tricky, right? Where is that? Where is that entry? We've looked at we've looked at these long-term charts. We have a whole bunch of resistance here that's acted as great support over here. This is our real big decision point right here, and that's where I'm looking for, for something to happen for us. Right here, we talked about this in the trade group, and those of you that are in the live group, you know that we discussed this, right? And in fact, here was my drawing of what to do. Let it dip down and trade it higher. And you can see the market kind of exactly mimic that right there, but trading against 114.30 was very good in my book, and we had a really nice rally off 114.30. 114.36 or 33, excuse me, on Friday. So there was just about 100 pips. There was exactly 100 pips of rally off that area. So that's going to be things that we're going to want to look at, right? We're going to want to find some fairly significant support levels to trade against, place some stops in here, and get into these things and see if we can start getting a little bit of momentum. So that ran down. That was a trade we've been talking about. In fact, you can kind of see that over here. These are things we've been looking for. We've been looking for this to make its run down and target some of those upper levels, and that it has done. That it has done. So those are kind of watch for those pullbacks. Watch for, remember this right here, 114.30, that double bottom. That's also an invalidation area. What does invalidation mean? That we are no longer right about the trade or the direction. So anything below that, we're going to say, hey, this is probably headed into, another 100 or 150 pips lower. So we want to get it as close to this level as possible. And you can see that it hit that level right on the dot. Perfect little double bottom right there. And away it goes. So how can we continue to trade this? Buy some pullbacks and just trade that puppy higher, right? Just continue ripping with that euro dollar, trading it higher, looking for those, those big nice moves there. So euro dollar is a great opportunity. That's kind of a big gauge for some dollar, dollar direction for me. I think pound dollar, or excuse me, Aussie dollar is also a very, very good one to be watching for. This channel in this area is something that I'm watching super, super closely. Aussie dollar is getting into not historic lows, but pretty long-term lows. It's been 2009 since it's been below the kind of the current area where it's at, right? So we had this big double bottom over here, 2015, 16, and then before that, it was all the way, that big dollar rally in 2009. So pretty interested in starting to get some opportunities to trade this Aussie dollar back up. You can see, some previous kind of double bottoms right through there. This is kind of struggling around that area as well, the big double bottoms here. So I'm just watching this Aussie dollar really, really closely, and I think there could be some really, really great trades to be had there. One thing you won't catch me doing is trying to get short Aussie dollar here, right? When we're at, pretty significant support levels that go back at least several years, probably don't want to be doing that. So there could be a run from 70, where we are 71.20 down into 7,000, down into maybe 6,900, but I won't be on that train at all because we're at pretty significant levels and pretty significant support. So I want to see us come off that level and start scaling it against those lows. That's what I'm looking for, for the dollar opportunity here. What do you guys think? Is anybody watching Aussie dollar at all? Anyone have any? And as a full disclaimer, I have not been excited about the Australian dollar US dollar pair for a long time. In fact, I haven't traded it for probably 6 months, but I watch it because it's just, it had a pretty nice sell off, and there was other things I was looking for in that area. But now it's very much on my radar. So there is that. What do you guys think? Any thoughts or questions about the Australian dollar? I want to trade this thing up into, to go back to this weekly chart here, I'd love to trade this thing up into kind of this channel high, right? You can see that we've got, all this area that's been tested down here. We're starting to kind of work in a pretty nice pattern. Here it is. We'll probably have a chance to get in, maybe around 7,000, maybe 7,150, somewhere in that area for kind of a long-term run. And I think we could probably get this up into, at the very least, 7,500, 7,600, right in that area. So good little chunk of pips to be had on something like the Aussie dollar. A couple of pairs to just keep an eye on: Euro dollar, Aussie dollar. Those are some of my two favorites in the dollar pair sector. Not super gung-ho about pound dollar because the pound is full of unpredictable news, and so I'm just kind of steering clear of pound pairs, even though we had a pretty decent pound trade a week or two ago in the trade group, but really just kind of steering clear of those pound pairs. But Aussie dollar, Euro dollar, New Zealand dollar, these are some that I'm very, very interested in. So same kind of picture here on this New Zealand dollar. We have major targets, major pivots, major details. We have this fantastic little channel that's been in place for quite some time here. So these do look like, hey, there's trend and there's all kinds of things happening here. And yes, but again, we're coming into, we're nowhere near historic lows, but we're definitely near some pretty significant support down in this area here. We've come off these highs. We had that big double top back here at 88.30. That was 2014. What a run down, pull back, and it's definitely had quite a move there. We had so much crazy, wild consolidation there, breakout, and I think we're hopefully ready for coming off some of these support levels and looking for these moves higher. So very interested in this big target zone up here, 7,100 to about 7,200 is a big target zone for me on the New Zealand dollar. So Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, Euro dollar all look pretty darn decent for some movement towards dollar weakness. So I'm keeping an eye on those. As I said, yen pairs are big trenders, but they're a little mixed right now. And so we'll go look at those in just a second. But what do you guys think? Does anybody have any questions about any of these guys? Any other dollar pairs you want to bring up? I'm pretty much steering clear of the dollar CAD for the moment. I'm going to get a little more direction there. Dollar Swiss, we've talked about that a bit, but you know, just kind of taking it a step at a time with some of these, slightly more crazy dollar pairs. Any thoughts, any questions on dollar pairs, guys, before I move on? I don't want to rush through anything. Like I said, I want to hear your guys' thoughts and questions and comments. Okay, so if you do have any dollar thoughts, just type them right on in. Okay, so yen pairs, the yen pairs that I'm probably most interested in right now, we have this Aussie yen that is just in such a middle ground for me. I want to trade the Aussie yen, but highs, lows, we're in the middle. It's just kind of tough. So Aussie yen is one that I actually want to trade, but I don't feel like I can trade, which is a bummer. CAD yen, a little bit on the tricky side. This is why I'm saying that I'm a little torn on all these yen pairs. Is there, so many of these are in the middle of channels, and they're great trending pairs. These are really, really just consistently good trending pairs. But of all these channels, we're right in the middle. We missed, we have some high probability targets up here at 90, 90, 90, 30. We got up here at about 89, just above 8900 area. And then the CAD yen comes crumbling right back down again. And so, we're just kind of bumping around the middle of so much stuff on some of these yen pairs. So I'm a little torn. It almost looks like it's trying to make a little head and shoulders for us. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I think we can definitely see plenty of yen strength coming up. But the CAD yen is a toughie. Anybody trading CAD yen? Anyone trading Aussie yen? I'm definitely not in either of these, nor am I too interested in getting into either of them at the moment. One that we have been talking about that's been kind of a plague and bane of our existence here a little bit is the Swiss yen, the crazy Swiss yen. Oh my goodness. This thing has been, I'll tell you the main reason we've been trading this Swiss yen. This is also in the middle, right? Here's our highs, recent highs here around 118.50. We've got some lows around 108.50. We have a 1,000 pip channel that this thing is bumping in between. And so we've been looking at Swiss yen trades because of a couple of different reasons. We have some nice targets. We have some nice pivot points up here. Weekly pivot points, daily pivot points. We have just a whole bunch of things going on there. But on the Swiss yen, we had a big bar count. For those of you that are familiar with the scanner course or the 15-minute trade course, we had a big bar count on the Swiss yen on the 30-minute chart, and that's now transitioned over to the hourly chart. We're at about 400 bars on the hourly chart on Swiss yen, and I can't trade against my own system. And so my own system tells me, trending trades are ready for a little bit of a break, and we're ready for a little bit of a move to the upside. Sharon just got out of that downtrend run. Great, excellent, Sharon. Very, very good. Yeah, it's the move to the upside looks like it needs to happen sooner than later. One thing that I wanted to see happen on this Swiss yen here was I wanted to see this weekly pivot get hit. We had this weekly pivot at about 112.50. And you can see right there, there's our weekly pivot. We missed it by probably, I don't know, 2 pips, 3 pips. But I think that was enough for the Swiss yen to say, okay, I've got to my level, time to head up. Now, not to say that we won't get another stab at that 112.50, because we'll be waiting for it. We'll be ready for that. But now we're looking for some nice opportunities to start really rocking and rolling this thing and trading it higher. So we've got some great levels to work with here, and we're definitely looking at some of these channels and some of these little details here that are, starting to tell us, hey, we've got we've got some patterns, we've got some some falling wedges, we've got different kinds of things like that that are lining up and telling us that it might be time to start looking for some movement to the upside. So all the bar count does for us is tells us, hey, if you're a scalper, there's a good opportunity to scalp dips. Buy dips, hang on for 10, 15, 20 pips. If you're a longer-term trader, buy dips and position yourself for movements up into that 200 moving average as well as some of these missed pivot points. So looking to trade this Swiss yen higher for sure. I want to trade that up just a little bit. I want to trade euro dollar higher. I want to trade New Zealand dollar, Aussie dollar higher. I want to wait a little bit on CAD yen and Aussie yen. I think those could have some promise for us, but they're still kind of stuck. So Swiss yen looks like a great one to trade higher. Another pair that I love is euro yen. This guy could be really, really good. But where is the euro yen right now? 130. Right at 130. This is right smack dab in the middle of this 125 big level right here and our 133 big level right there. So we're just right in the middle of that thing and looking for some sort of clarity in one direction or another. So 130 is a big spot for this one. So again, there's no bar counts. There's nothing too exciting on this. We do have, at least a missed pivot up here, but the euro yen's not giving us enough. So for a trending currency like the yen is, we need a little more confirmation to really get that big trend going. Dollar pairs, the dollar's a great trender, and we're definitely seeing plenty of, big decision points that are very nearby. And so that's going to give us some good opportunities. So, from day to day in the live trade group, I'll be talking about where these opportunities are coming from and where everything's going. But just know that moving forward into the end of the year, I would say that probably our biggest profits will be made on dollar and yen pairs over the next 2 to 3 months. And I want to share those ideas with you guys, and I want to share the trade, analysis and market analysis and so on, and some of the things that we're looking for. So all of you that are just joining us as visitors in the trade group, head over to daytradersfx.com and, get a 14-day free trial and see how we kind of track these charts and see how we, trade things along there. For those of you that are in the trade group, well, be ready because we've got some really great opportunities coming up. Absolutely. So that is for lack of wanting to go for 3 hours on the webinar, which I very easily could. I mean, I dipped into a couple of currency pairs that I'm loving that I think will be good traders going into the end of the year. We may have another webinar next Saturday. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. But for now, that's where I think some of the biggest opportunity is going to be for the next 2 to 3 months. What do you guys think? Does anybody have any questions, comments, anything you guys want to add to that? I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. And thank you guys for your participation. It was super awesome to see everybody. Very glad that we had some visitors and some guests on today. And some people that were maybe joining us for a first time. So super awesome to see you all. These are the things that hopefully will make us some money. So keep an eye on everything and keep an eye on your email inbox first and foremost, because I'm going to be sending out some emails with some short, 2 and 3 minute updates on some of these, favorite setups and favorite currency pairs and so on. I'll definitely help you guys out with whatever I can. So if you have any questions, let us know. Make sure you're part of my Telegram trade group right here. So if you're not part of that, you can jump on in and join us by Well, going back to the email that you joined this webinar from, at the top of the email, there is a link for our live chat group. This is free, it doesn't cost anything, and this is where we talk about lots and lots of trade ideas every day. Trade ideas every day. So, so you can jump in there and join the conversation as well. We'd love to have you. So check your email for that link. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a wonderful Saturday. So good to be with you all. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. And I'll post this recording so everybody can kind of review it and see anything you want to look at there. And have a great rest of your weekend, guys. Nice to see you all. Take care, everybody. We'll see you all very soon.